So looking through some of the questions that we got in the comments of our other videos, I'm going to do some quick fire Q&As. But some of them I think deserve a little bit more of an explanation and a bit more detail about the answer rather than just a quick one. And one that caught my attention was the comment here that was talking about the bikes. So Liverpool Man 1990, quick question from a Sector 2 Marshal regarding the blades. Obviously using something like an Africa Twin in terms of carrying gear would be beneficial. Has any data been collected on using different types of bikes for TMs? Yeah, the Africa Twin, a great bike. I know a few people who've ridden them and think that they're great, and look at that carrying capacity. I mean, that is just sensational in terms of sandwiches and drinks and stuff. Brilliant. But could you imagine trying to ride one of those around the TT course all loaded up with Hickman and Dunlop and the boys all chasing you down on their super bikes? I mean, that's its natural environment right there, crossing a river. It's a picture here. This is me using a cross runner. We did some filming for a Belgian company a few years ago, and we used the VFR cross runner, and that thing was ace. Completely changed my opinion on those kind of bikes. That would be better than the Africa Twin, but still, it's just not going to be quick enough. But in terms of bikes TMs have used in the past, going here on TT Race Picks, if you look at the the different variations of stuff they've tried, I mean, some of it was quite relevant at the time, but when you think of pan-Europeans and things like that, and I spoke to some of the older TMs, and they say even back then they were a nightmare. They would just top out 120 miles an hour and be wobbling all over the place and just weren't up to the job. So you need to fight fire with fire effectively and go against the boys with the similar sort of equipment. But looking at this is the 2020 Africa Twin, but look at some of the stats. Obviously it accelerates as well as most bikes do, but here's the top speed. It's only just over 120 miles an hour, top speed. The current Fireblade does 100 miles an hour in first gear and will do over 170 in fourth. And to have a bike that would only do 120 odd miles an hour just would not be safe, and it's not going to handle anywhere near as well. The difference between the speed the boys are going and the speed you'd be going is just far too great. Maybe put Hickman and Dunlop on an Africa Twin and give us a Fireblade. We might give them a race, but the other way around, you just can't have that difference in performance between us and them when you're on a live track with them. It's just not safe. But yeah, the carrying capacity would be great. Look at all that space on the back. Get loads of gear on that. But Matt Oxley came over at the TT and he wrote an article speaking to Mike 1 and 2 about the history of the TMs, but then also about the current situation and what we do and how it operates and loads of the stuff that we've talked about in these videos before. But he's got it down. He wrote a really good piece. It's on the TT website, so I'll leave a link below about that. But there's some really good points made by Jim and Tony, and basically just sort of saying what I was saying. But I think Jim makes a good point here about if you're going out on track and the fast boys are coming and you get called to an incident, there's a lot to think about. And one of those things is these boys are in the middle of a race, and you don't want to get in their way. You don't want to spoil their race. You want to be as easy to negotiate as possible. And so you want to be, as counterintuitive as it sounds, you want to be going at a similar sort of pace if you can be, as close as you can be. You don't want to be going too slow. But look at some of the older bikes. They use Blackbirds and Pan-Europeans, like we said. And yeah, Tony makes a good point then. These days you just have to have the fastest thing we can get our hands on. And nothing else is quick enough. And basically that's it. If the boys tried 600s before and things like that, and okay at the Manx maybe that's okay, but at the TT now you just got to give yourself the best chance of being on a similar sort of pace that they are. But yeah, I thought that deserves a little bit more of an answer, rather than just dismissing it in 20 seconds. There have been other bikes tried in the past, but nowadays it's basically Honda suppliers their best 1000cc sports bike. And they are brilliant. They are great. I mean, you've seen the other video where we talk about the bike and prepping it and things, but it is an amazing motorbike in every aspect. It's not comfy riding it at 30 miles an hour, but we don't do that, and that wasn't what it was designed for. Here's an interesting video of somebody on a track day topping out on the Africa Twin at just over 120 miles an hour, and then a sports bike comes flying past, and as you can see there, the difference in velocity between those two bikes is just too great for it to be safe, and just highlights the reason why we're using those Fireblades, the fast bikes. So yeah, just a quick one. Just wanted to speak a bit more about that question. I thought it was a good one, and we've got a few more of these coming. So keep tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.